in the making. You have seen us demonstrate pieces of it over
Okay.
time. But today, this is a very, very big deal.
Ich hoffe, dass das so klappen wird, wie ich mir das vorgestellt habe.
For the very first time, and by the way, I want to thank the team at LMX Labs and Epic and all of the engineers at Nvidia that worked on this. This piece of work, the Star Wars rendering in real time, is really one of the first times that ray tracing has ever been done at, well, it is the first time that ray tracing has been done at this level in real time. So thank you very much, guys. Super proud of you guys. After 10 years, what makes this special is for the very first time, we can bring real-time ray tracing to the market. People can actually use it. The technology has been encapsulated into multiple layers, from our GPU architecture to the algorithms that makes it possible for us to do this. You are also seeing deep learning in action. Without deep learning, it would be impossible to have traced all of those rays. We use deep learning to essentially, whereas deep learning has been used in the past for super resolution, we're using them for super rays, predicting rays, so that we could fill in the spots that we know what the right answer is going to be using artificial intelligence.
So, an alle, die jetzt gerade erst einschalten sollten, wir schauen die GTC live von Nvidia. Und zwar, ja, hoffen wir auf eine neue Grafikkartengeneration. Und jetzt, pst, ab mit euch in den Chat.
One, the Nvidia optics. Two, Microsoft's DX12 extension called DX Ray Tracing DXR. The work that we did with them is fantastic. And then now it's also going to be available in OpenGL Vulkan. We also are announcing today the world's largest GPU. The world's largest GPU. It's called the Quadro GV100.
Liegt einfach irgendwo rum, ey.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Quadro GV100.
Not bad, ey.
Workstation GPU based on the Volta architecture.
Volta! Wir wollen Gaming Volta sehen! Keine Workstation! Wir wollen Gaming Volta! Turing! Ampere, gib mir Volta! Irgendwas! GTX 2080 oder GTX 1180. Alles! Ich nehme alles!
Software doesn't have to change. The two GPUs connected through this new interconnect called NVLink is essentially one giant GPU. So these two GPUs working together, two GV100s, will become a revolutionary new workstation. It's going to be available from HP, Dell, and Lenovo.
NVLink, das geht locker auch mit PC-Spielen. Ich will eine neue SLI-Liga, einen neuen SLI-Standard.
Has 10,000 cores, 10,000 CUDA cores. 236 teraflops of tensor cores, all used to revolutionize modern computer graphics. The largest frame buffer in the world, 32 gigabytes of HBM2 per GPU, two of them together working completely unified inside an application of 64 gigabyte frame buffer HBM2. Ladies and gentlemen, the Quadro GV100 with the Nvidia RTX technology.
64 GB HBM2! 10.000 CUDA-Cores, ey, ich glaub's. Heftig.
Creators and designers are gonna love this. It is amazing how many frames are rendered each year. There are 400 games being made every single year. This is one of the largest industries in the world. And all of those beautiful lightings that you see is made possible by the technique that I described earlier called light baking. Basically using ray tracing to render the entire game in advance. And wherever there are static lights, bake it. Put it right into a light map. As a result, you get these wonderful crevices and shadows, and all of these details come out, and the whole world comes to life. The film industry The film industry uses this technology. Mowgli and Bagheera wouldn't be possible if it wasn't because of rendering technology. 500 movies made each year. Every single frame has been rendered multiple times during design, and then finally has to be done in final film. 10 hours on the highest performance GPU per frame. Just imagine how many CPUs per frame, how many CPUs are in those render farms. Product design. When you see advertisements and you see these commercials and these cars are driving around and they're being launched all over the world at the same time, the cars don't exist. They're all completely created using photorealistic rendering. Architecture design. There are no square buildings anymore. All the buildings in the world are beautiful, gigantic products. And the only way to imagine what it looks like inside, feels like inside, is to render it photorealistically. Architecture. We estimate 1 billion frames are rendered each year. With the Nvidia RTX technology and the Quadro GV100, I believe the number of frames that will be rendered will jump by a factor of 10. Just so that you can iterate and try things before you get it done. You'll also get it done faster. But most importantly, you'll
Gaming-Grafikkarten.
As you know, everybody knows now. This is like common sense. The more GPUs you buy, the more money you save. That's right. The more GPUs you save. This is now common sense. Now,
Falsches Zeitalter.
This is what a render farm would look like. Look at this thing. It's incredible. 280 dual CPU servers. It consumes 168,000 watts. That's like 168 families and their homes being used to render images. This is before, this is after. This is with the Nvidia RTX technology, Quadro GV100. Look at this. 14 quad GPU servers, 24,000 watts. And you save millions of dollars. You save millions of dollars. This is what it looks like before. Probably a few $1 million. Call it 3, 4, 5. And this is what it looks like now. A few $100,000. Save millions of dollars. Come to GTC, learn how to save millions of dollars. Well, the industry is just so excited. We're so grateful for the adoption and the engagement and all the work that we're doing with the industry. From tools makers, Adobe, Autodesk, Dassault, engine makers, Epic, Unity, Film Studios.
So, Sven, danke, dass du eingeschaltet hast. Freut mich sehr. Ja, bis jetzt ist noch nicht so viel. Also, er hat die ganzen Workstation-Sachen, aber er baut langsam auf. Es gab auf jeden Fall, also naja, was heißt nicht so viel? So, das, was halt echt heftig war, ist die neue Quadro, die über NVLink verbunden wird mit 64 GB HBM2. 10.000 CUDA-Cores, also Respekt, wer das Ding in seiner Workstation drin hat. Nee, Spaß, also ist halt komplett anderes Industrielevel. Aber ich hab's noch nicht aufgegeben. Ich hab's noch nicht aufgegeben. Hat auch noch nicht so lange angefangen. Ich glaube, sie haben mit so 10 Minuten Verspätung angefangen oder so. Und vorher war ein Ladescreen, also. Und der liebe Huang baut ja immer ein bisschen auf. Und zum Schluss kommt die schöne GeForce-Karte, auf die wir alle gewartet haben. Aber Volta ist auf jeden Fall im Raum, also vom Namen mit der Workstation-Card. Jetzt fehlt nur noch die Gaming-GPU.
Was 15 years ago when we decided that a GPU, which was a graphics accelerator at the beginning, would become more and more general purpose. We wanted to become more and more general purpose because we felt that in order to create virtual reality, we had to simulate reality. We had to simulate light. We had to simulate physics. And that simulation has so many different algorithms from particle physics and fluid dynamics.
Nee, du hast nichts verpasst.
And of course, what you just saw earlier, ray tracing. The simulation of the physical world requires a general purpose supercomputing architecture. My kids told me this morning, Spencer and Madison told me this morning that this is our 10th year anniversary. The first year was called Envision. Since then, it was called GTC. This is our 10th year anniversary.
Ich stream gerade ganz normal über OBS und theoretisch über die Grafikkarte. Also. Ach so, du meinst wegen der Grafikkarte. Noch ist die 1080 Ti im PC. Ich verschicke die erst morgen. Also die ist jetzt verkauft. Ging gestern halt die Auktion zu Ende. Und heute das Video dazu. Und ja, noch ist sie im PC drin. Aber ab morgen dann nur noch iGPU. So, Niklas und Knipslappen, danke, dass ihr eingeschaltet habt. Oder Knisslappen, sorry. Hypt mal ganz dicke hoch, damit wir hier gleich eine neue Grafikkartengeneration sehen, ja? Ich will Turing sehen. Oh. Wenn hier jetzt gleich eine neue Grafikkartengeneration angekündigt wird, sind 750 € nicht zu wenig gewesen, sondern exakt das, was ich gezahlt habe. Und für das Geld kriegt man die dann nicht mehr weg. Ansonsten gebe ich dir recht, war es ein Schnäppchen für den Käufer. Aber hey. I need a freaking supercomputer to do it. Hype, hype, hype. The hype is real.
Artificial intelligence, autonomous machines that collaborate with us, that augment us. The timing couldn't be more perfect. Well, we're at the tipping point, and the number of people who are jumping on top of GPU computing is really growing and growing at an exponential rate. We're almost up to 1 million GPU developers, up 10 times in the last 5 years. The number of attendees of GTC, we are packed all the way to the end. We're packed all the way to the end, and we've got overflow, and Santa Clara is at its limit. Silicon Valley is at its limits. It has grown 4x in the 5 years. GTC is now a global event. The number of CUDA
hyper
has increased 5x in 5 years, but here's the amazing thing.
400 € wäre okay.
Downloads of CUDA, almost half of it was last year. 8 million downloads of CUDA.
Für die Mittelklasse. Ja, so 1060, 1070, wenn was jetzt kommt, dann wären 400 € auf jeden Fall eine feine Sache.
The number of GPU flops in the top 50 supercomputers in the world has grown to 370 petaflops. We just announced our nation's 2 fastest supercomputers, Summit and Sierra, both GPU accelerated, each one of them about 100 petaflops. The fastest supercomputer in the United States was 20 petaflops.
Was man auch sagen muss, ich habe kurz den Ton ausgemacht, man muss bedenken, was der Einführungspreis ist und was dann der tatsächliche Preis ist eine andere Sache. Also die GTX 1080 kostet auch gerade mal knapp über 500 €. Die GTX 1070 kostet auch gerade mal knapp über 700 €, über 400 €. Die GTX 1060 gerade mal über 300 €. Also der Preis muss bloß stabil bleiben.
Even then we need larger computers. The world needs larger computers because there's serious work to be done.
Wir brauchen kleine Computer mit großen Grafikkarten.
There's so many examples. Whether it's reinventing the way we store energy, trying to understand the Earth core to predict future disasters, understanding and simulating weather, or just understanding.
Ja, als Founders Edition wäre schon eine feine Sache.
Each one of these simulations take days on the world
Ja.
computers. In the case of the work that is done at Caltech, 7 days on a Titan, 2 weeks on a Titan, 840 days, almost 3 years on the PIZ-DANT supercomputer. And of course, Blue Water, almost 2 weeks to simulate the HIV virus.
Ja.
What's going to happen here is this. We're going to go build an exascale
Die
computer.
Preise werden durch die
And all
Titan
of
V
these
berechnet.
simulation times will be compressed down to 1 day. But what
By the way, ich habe, glaube ich, irgendeinen Skandal zu Titan V gelesen, dass sie irgendwelche Fehler beinhält oder zumindest relativ häufig abschmiert in High-End-Bereichen. Aber nagelt mich nicht drauf fest. Ich habe es, glaube ich, nur kurz überflogen gehabt.
and then
Falls das eine Anspielung darauf war,
will grow again. Science needs supercharged computers. And that's the reason why we're building supercharged computers. If you take a look at the last 5 years, there's no question now GPU accelerated computing is the right answer. On the left, excuse me, on this side,
da steht Volta,
on the right, is
aber
Fermi.
mit dem Server dahinter.
This is our first GPU that you probably got to know about us, where the GPU computing universe learned about Nvidia. This is the GPU server circa 2013. This is the Volta server 5 years later, circa 2018. The amazing thing is
Voll geile Serverkonstellation. Grrr.
trying to simulate the human biology. The speed up that we created in the last 5 years,
Volta.
25 times. Well, Moore's law is 10 times in 5 years. Moore's law, the miracle of laws. The law that has enabled just about every single industry and progress.
Ja, Respekt. Was ist da mit der Titan V jetzt genau gewesen? Also ich habe das nicht ganz auf dem Schirm, sorry. Live-Chat.
25x in the last 5 years. There's a new law.
Sven, du meinst, niemand will Business-Zeug sehen. Das Problem ist, die GTC an sich ist eigentlich nicht primär für Konsumenten gedacht, sondern halt überwiegend für Industriebedarf, ja. Deswegen auch der gesamte Workstation-Server-Kram. Und es gibt halt eine sehr geringe Wahrscheinlichkeit, dass jetzt hier tatsächlich Gaming-GPUs angekündigt werden. Aber Nvidia ist durch die gesamte Presse gerade innerhalb der letzten 1-2 Wochen wirklich so stark unter Druck geraten. Da muss jetzt was kommen. Wenigstens ein Hint, ja? Wenigstens von wegen, dann kommt was. Und ihr könnt euch darauf freuen. Irgendwas wird kommen. Wenn sie es jetzt komplett unter den Tisch fallen lassen, keine Chance. Das wird sie komplett hinrichten. vom Charisma-Level.
The software stack in 2013 was 5.0. Amber 12.12 version 12. This is Amber 16. 9.0 across the board. Basically, we're continuously updating and continuously refining these algorithms and these solvers. We could design new architectures every single year. That's how we got from Kepler to Maxwell.
Bei komplexen Aufgaben macht die Titan V Fehler. Wird spekuliert, dass es am Memory liegt. Interessant. Das wäre natürlich ein Mega-Flop, ja? Das wäre ein Mega-Flop. Kann aber auch natürlich einfach von der Software irgendwas fehlerhaft sein. Hoffe ich zumindest, dass das sich softwareseitig beheben lässt. Ansonsten gibt es bald gebrauchte Titan Vs auf eBay. Und was glaubt ihr? Gebt mal eure Schätzung bitte im Chat ab. Hat Jensen Huang eine frische Lederjacke an oder ist es immer noch dieselbe? Was glaubt ihr?
Incredible. This is what a supercomputing rack looks like. It's much, much more densely populated because most supercomputers deliver a lot more power per rack. 20, 30,000 watts per rack. This is 600 dual CPU servers, 360,000 watts. And this is what it looks like if it was GPU accelerated. That's right. Work with me here.
Ich glaube auch, dass es dieselbe ist.
The more you save. That's right, work with me here. The more you buy, the more you save. This is not a complicated talk. Guys.
Glaubst du echt, dass die neu ist? Der hat bestimmt einfach so einen gigantischen Schrank bei sich zu Hause, wo eine Nvidia draufsteht und dort sind so 30 von diesen Jacken. Frisch gepresst. Komm, Jensen Huang, du verdienst das. Du bist auf der Bühne, du verdienst deinen Applaus.
John, you're my hero. Speaking of talks, the guy gives just the most amazing computer architecture talks.
Who the fuck is John?
This is much easier. There are only 2 messages I want to deliver today. One of them is the the more you save. Okay. All right, there'll be a quiz at the end. There's a second quiz coming up. Nvidia Tesla V100, big savings for HPC. One of the most important and one of the applications that I love the most of all of the work we do in HPC is the work that we do.
Oh, es ist tatsächlich eine andere. Oh mein Gott.
Well, it turns out,
gibt es verschiedene Revisions, so mit Updates. Bessere Heatpipes auf der Rückseite. Hitze kann besser abgeführt werden. Über die Jacke. Ja, also die Kühlrippen sehen schon aerodynamischer aus. Also definitiv. Steckt eine Menge Design hinter. Fresh auf jeden Fall.
Each one of these modalities of medical imaging has been revolutionized recently using computational approaches. In fact, CUDA is embraced and our GPUs are embraced throughout the medical imaging world.
Die TI-Jacke, ja.
For this very reason. Because it can take these sensors, these weak sensor information.
Das ist die Titan-Jacke.
Reconstruct a three-dimensional image, visualize it, segment it.
Auf dem Aufnäher auf der Rückseite steht dann keine Größe, dort steht einfach TI. Oh Mann. Jensen Huang trägt TI.
Most ultrasounds that you see in hospitals still look like that. On the right is a brand new medical imaging equipment from Philips Epic. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. It could do 3D reconstruction. It could visualize. It's as if there's a virtual light inside the womb. Look how beautiful it is. It does 3D segmentation, so it detects the baby and lifts it out of all the noise, and then it does beautiful rendering. And here you could tell they're using some amount of subsurface scattering so that the baby looks like there's the tone of flesh. Okay, modern ultrasound. Well, this technology is used everywhere, as I mentioned. It's used in CT, MRIs, in PETs, in mammo, in ultrasound. And in addition to that, modern advances in deep learning and artificial intelligence is about to revolutionize the entire industry. We can now reconstruct images better than we could ever before. We could identify and segment brain tumor better than ever before. And we can visualize the images in a way that reveals a lot more insight using cinematic rendering than we ever could before. The entire stack of Nvidia, from the GPU containers, the virtualized GPUs, CUDA, cuDNN, RTX, OpenGL, all of the solvers and all the libraries integrated into these imaging applications. That entire stack is identical to everything that I've talked to you about. It's identical to everything I've already talked about. Well, the unfortunate thing is this. There's some 3, 4, 5 million medical instruments that are installed all over hospitals all over the world. So let's call it 3 million instruments. 100,000 new ones are being sold each year, which basically says it's going to take about 30 years before we can replace the installed base.
So, alle, die gerade live sind, ich möchte eure Schätzungen im Chat sehen. Was glaubt ihr, was die neue Grafikkartengeneration beinhalten wird? Und wie sie jetzt tatsächlich heißen wird. Wird sie tatsächlich Turing heißen? Also Turing, so wie sie angekündigt wurde oder zumindest geteasert wurde? Volta oder Ampere? Einmal die Frage. Und wie viel HBM oder GDDR6 wird sie beinhalten? Ich tippe auf 16. Ich tippe auf 16. Ich hoffe auf 16.
In short, is a medical imaging supercomputer. But what it is a data center, virtualized, remoted, multimodality.
Wobei ich noch nicht mal weiß, ob die Titan V 16 GB HBM2 hatte. Ich glaube, die Titan V hatte selbst nur 12. Muss ich kurz nachschauen.
You could put it in the data center, you can put it in the cloud, and because of the technology we've already talked to you about, it's possible for us to actually virtually upgrade every single medical.
Oh ja, die Titan V hatte selbst nur 12 HBM2.
Hey, Fausto, hey man.
Sie heißt Vampire, ja, wahrscheinlich.
So, here is a...
Wait.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, LUA, buddy.
Was?
Forget it.
Was?
Inside joke.
Aha.
I want to prepare his language so that you understand it. No. This is one of our scientists in our company, and this is his field of expertise. This is where he dedicates his life. Dr. Fausto.
Dr. Jensen.
That's right. Every time I call him doctor, he calls me doctor. And another inside joke. You know, with your friends in the company, you got a lot of inside jokes. So Dr. Foster has been working on.
Ich glaube, er hat noch nie von Dr. Foster gehört.
What I want to show you is something that's really amazing. This, go ahead, tell us.
So sure. So what you are seeing here is a beating human heart, and this is an echocardiogram.
Ich habe zufälligerweise ein Mikrofon in der Hand und kann deswegen direkt drauf anspringen.
And basically, this is the type of image that a doctor would look at when they diagnose.
Der ist ein richtiger Witzbold, ja.
Yeah, so this is 2D, but our body, of course, is 3D, so there is more information.
Der russische Vampir-Doktor.
We can acquire. So we switch to 3D.
Entschuldigung.
A more complete picture like this.
And so this basically is a scan. It's an traditional ultrasound scan coming off of a 15-year-old instrument that we then take into this computational medical imaging supercomputer, this MIS, and this is what comes out of it. Does that make sense? Okay, you take this ultrasound machine that's sitting in a hospital network anyways, you stream the ultrasound information into your data center, and your data center
Ist das ein Fisch?
This stack on top of a GPU server creates this miracle on the right, and now it's volumetric. Keep going.
Yes.
That's nothing. Wait.
Okay, so,
so excited.
at this point, we can
Wie er ihm ins Wort
clearly
fällt.
see basically the chambers here, and we can analyze more of the motion of the left ventricle by using deep learning. And we resort to use a state-of-the-art deep learning method. It's a fully convolutional.
Heidi Klum ist mit Tom Kaulitz zusammen. Danke, Sven, für diesen sehr produktiven Beitrag. Stimmt das überhaupt? So spannend ist die Präsentation, okay. Oh, guck es dir an. Es ist offensichtlich ein Herz und kein Fisch. Oder eine Paprika.
And segmented very well.
Now just think, you got to realize what's happening. There's an artificial intelligence network here that is running on the original black and white gray scan that you saw. And
Lieven Batzov, thank you very much for tuning in, but the stream is in German. That's why there are like brackets in with DE. You know, the stream is German, and we're watching the GTC live from Silicon Valley with Jensen Huang.
that's pretty incredible. That's pretty incredible. Keep Fausto. That's amazing work, man.
Ja, genau. Also alle Englischsprachigen können gerne den Originalstream schauen. Lex for Play, jawohl, danke, dass du eingeschaltet hast. Bis jetzt gab es eine Menge Workstation-Zeugs und Server-Gedöns. Es gab eine neue, hier, wie heißt sie denn? Volta, die über NVLink verbunden wird, aber keine Gaming-Karte bis jetzt. Also, ja, sehr viel 3D-Modellierung und Reproduktion und, ja, und ein Vampir-Doktor aus Russland. Thank you, Dr. Foster! Wow!
Your ejection volume was running about 80%.
At this moment, yes.
Do you think so? Maybe 99%, everything coming in was going out. That's fantastic. And so here's what we're going to do. We're going to create this server with this stack, this virtualized stack on top, and it's going to be remoted into all of these medical instruments all over
Gaming!
And then you'll be able to scan using your current installed base of scanners, and then we'll post-process it using AI to infer more information from it. We could also use all kinds of new computational techniques to improve the image.
Komm schon!
And
Improve the image. Ah, übrigens, nächsten Monat, April, ja, sind die 4K 144 Hertz Monitore von Nvidia angekündigt. Und das wird ziemlich sicher ein Topic sein. Und das ist der erste Hint dafür, dass halt neue Grafikkarten kommen können. Werden, nicht können, werden. Jesus. Komm schon, komm schon. Meine Facecam ist broke. Oh, shit.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Clara.
Clara! So. Alles wieder gerichtet. Dankeschön. Ja. Sorry.
Has completely turbocharged modern AI.
Danke, Leute. Ich habe mich sehr beeilt mit dem Stream einrichten. Also bin schon froh, dass ich hier einen Thumbnail für hinbekommen habe.
From this algorithm, it could construct hierarchically knowledge representations. And these knowledge representations,
da unten steht, typen wie.
Enough data, it would become more and more robust and recognize a larger diversity of that space.
Oh.
Deep learning has revolutionized modern AI. The thing that deep learning needs, though, is a ton of data, and more importantly, a ton of compute. And the reason for that is it just iteratively goes through and tries to figure out what are the important features.
Ja, Titan unten rechts habe ich auch schon festgestellt.
Our strategy at Nvidia
Ich bin etwas unscharf. Oh.
is to advance GPU computing for deep learning.
Schärfer? Wenn ich schärfer bin, wenn ich scharf bin, ab in den Chat damit. Bitte.
The interconnects, the way we construct systems, to all of the software layers that are on top of it. Making it available and partnering with cloud service providers.
Ist zu laut oder zu leise?
Everywhere. Irrespective of what AI framework you use or what AI network you're trying to create.
Test.
Wherever you are, we will support it. And we will support it from end to end. So that the frameworks that you use to develop the networks and models will be deployable in large scale. And we would even make it possible for you to access our platform in every possible way and in any sort of way. Whether you would like to build a personal supercomputer for a few $1,000s with our Titan V, or to be able to rent time in the cloud for a few dollars an hour, or to be able to build your own supercomputing cluster, or just to buy one from us. We're going to make it
Mikrofon ist aus, was?
for you to do your work at the speed of light.
Du verarschst mich doch.
To be able to do it.
Test. Ich sehe doch das Dings
We're
ausschlagen.
announcing several big things. First, we are doubling our GPU. The
What?
Volta V100 is now 32 gigabytes of HBM2 memory. It's twice the size of
Oh
the
mein
V2.
Gott.
Now this is so important, and the reason for that, and I'll show you later, the networks are getting larger and larger and larger. And so it doesn't fit in 16 gigabytes. Researchers would like to not worry about memory size while they're developing their neural networks.
Okay, wenn die Workstations verdoppelt werden auf 32 und 64
HBM2, the fastest memory in the world,
und sie HBM hypen.
the Volta V100. It'll be available as of now, and the next DGX that you buy, it'll be available in the cloud very, very shortly. It is in complete volume production everywhere.
Hä?
The new Volta with 32 gig. Neural networks are growing
Sven, du bist ein Popo.
at an extraordinary rate, at a lightning rate. What started out just 5 years ago with the AlexNet, Alex Krzyzewski's now world-famous AlexNet, was 8 layers deep, had millions of parameters. 8 layers deep, millions of parameters. 8 layers deep and millions of parameters.
Ja, jetzt komm mal runter.
The CNN was
64 ist jetzt erstmal top of the line.
created by
64 GB HBM2 auf einer freaking Karte. Und dann über NVLink verbunden, ey.
by Jeff
Bam.
Hinton. And it was implemented in AlexNet for the very first time. and it won the ImageNet competition. 5 short years later, thousands of species have emerged. Thousands of species of artificial intelligence networks, models of all different types, from the CNNs of Jan LeCun to the RNNs that was first done at Schmidhuber's lab in
Der Delay?
in
Welcher
Switzerland.
Delay?
The generative
Du hast
adversarial
Delay.
networks of Ian Goodfellow, deep reinforcement learning that was most recently done by DeepMind, Demis's DeepMind, and Peter Beal over at Berkeley. All of these different architectures have hundreds of different implementations. The number of species is growing so incredibly, and there are so many new ones coming out. Hinton just recently disclosed the capsule net so that it could not only recognize images in its image form, but to learn the geometric form of the images. So many new techniques. Neural collaborative filtering, NCF, which is used for recommenders. What started out just 5 years
Ja, in den letzten 2 Minuten kommt dann, yay, neue Grafikkarte.
million parameters.
Oh mein Gott, du hast neue Pascal-Karte geschrieben. Wehe, ey. Wenn das ein Pascal-Refresh ist, wenn sie sagen, oh mein Gott, die Grafikkarte ist so toll, wir haben einfach eine neue gemacht, die genauso gut ist, bloß 5% besser. Und sie ist auch nur 24 Stunden lang verfügbar. Für 8.000 Euro. Verdammt, ey. Ihr macht mir gerade keine Hoffnung. Shit.
In just 5 years. 500 times in 5 years. Remember, Moore's Law would have only kept up with 10x of that. 500 times in 5 years. So the world wants, the researchers all over the world wants just a gigantic GPU. Not a big one.
A gigantic. A titan.
A gigantic one.
1080s.
Not a
Komm
huge
schon.
one. A gigantic one.
Ja, ist gut, ich hab's kapiert.
So, ladies and gentlemen, today I would like to announce
Komm
the
schon.
world's largest GPUs. This is the world's largest
Tesla.
GPU.
Tesla.
This is 16 voltage connected by 12 brand new
You little sucker.
that the world has never seen. It's called MV switch. These 16 Tesla V100 equivalents, each with 32 gigabytes, creates virtually a 512 gigabyte.
It's the best. It's the best.
Not only that, gigabyte memories, the way you address the memory, and the way that every single GPU could talk.
Yo,
to
I'm
another GPU,
Nvidia. I'm building a wall
using the same
around me and the entire industry.
semantics on our chip.
Every AMD can stay outside.
Have been extended out of this chip,
Trust me, it's good.
out of the GPU onto the MV switches, connecting each and every one of them. In total, 14 terabytes per second of aggregate bandwidth. 14 terabytes. So that's, what is that? Let's think about that. 14,000 gigabytes. And let's say if a high resolution movie is 10 gigabytes. Okay? So 14,000 gigabytes, 1,440
Für die Mauer, ja.
movies.
Das war nett.
1,440 movies. More movies than any human has ever seen could be transferred across this switch in 1 second, like that. Ladies and gentlemen,
Like that.
15,000 movies.
Ich will eine Grafikkarte sehen.
14,000 movies downloaded in 1 second.
Gigantic. It's freaking gigantic.
Dream come true.
Mr. Huang!
Altogether, 81,900 CUDA cores. 2 petaflops. 2 petaflops. This GPU is 2 petaflops. I told you earlier, the fastest supercomputer on the planet is 125. The fastest supercomputer in America is 100 petaflops. This is 2 petaflops of tensor cores for AI on this GPU. The world's largest GPU. Let me show it to you.
Oh, sie liegt dort wieder irgendwo auf dem Boden rum.
No. No. that thing. Hang on a second. You know, guys, here's the thing. We're so busy pulling this stuff together, we don't rehearse. Okay, our rehearsal is basically grip it and rip it.
That's not the freaking biggest GPU.
Largest GPU.
Woo! Oh, that's the wrong one.
That, did you? You didn't fall for that. Hang on a second. This isn't the world's largest GPU. This is the world's largest
Oh,
GPU.
ich wusste es.
Guys, it's sitting in plain sight, hiding in plain sight, right here.
What?
Sandy, if I could give that to you.
Oh mein Gott, es sind zwei Kästen.
I understood
Es sind zwei abgedeckte Kästen.
that,
Er verarscht
was
uns
that the
jetzt.
game plan for me to do this myself? Oh, okay, it wasn't? All right. Ladies and gentlemen, grip it and rip it. This,
Oh, take that!
ladies and gentlemen,
Look at my balls!
the world's largest GPU. Now, what you're looking at is something that's really, truly amazing. So let me show it to you this way, and I'll come back to that. Okay? This switch has 2 billion transistors made of TSMC's 12 nanometer FinFET. This, great process. Every one of these switches, and there are 12 of them, every one of these switches has 18 links, which are 8 bits wide, 18 MB links, 8 bits wide, with a SerDes that's moving at 25
Ja,
gigabits
ich habe mir auch gerade gedacht, als so diese zweite
25
Schachtel war.
gigabits per second on just one signal.
Aber sie kann auch überall sein.
There's 18 links on this one chip, and it's bidirectional.
Das ist die neue Tesla, glaube ich.
Altogether, it creates 7.2 terabits per second or 900
512 Gigabyte HBM2.
of bandwidth. Well, that's a lot of movies too. So 7.2 terabits per second, 900 gigabytes per second goes through one switch. There are 12 switches.
Die er in der Hand hatte,
Switches.
das ist, glaube ich,
What that
die
basically says
eine
is that
sozusagen. Also,
every single GPU can communicate to every other single GPU at 20 times the
sicher, dass das die Titan V war?
Express. Isn't that amazing? Every single GPU can talk to every other GPU. And every single GPU can talk to every single GPU in a non-blocking way. It's a fabric. It's not a network, it's a switch. It's a non-blocking fabric switch with a memory semantics, memory programming model that's exactly the same as what's inside our chip. And therefore, all the reads and all the writes and all the atomics just works across this. The bandwidth and the performance and the latency of this switch is incredibly low. It's incredibly low. Unlike a network, this is a switch, which means every single GPU can talk to the other GPUs with extremely low latency. You want to read, you want to synchronize a parameter, it takes no time. 300 gigabytes per second. And altogether, Nvidia's largest graphics card. This is what it looks like. Largest graphics card.
Heftig.
The largest graphics
16
card
Tesla
the world has ever
V100
made.
mit
The
je
largest
32
graphics card,
Gigabyte HBM2.
petaflops, 512 gigabytes.
Alter.
Most graphics cards in the world today, 2 or 3 gigabytes. 2 or 3 gigabytes. This is 512 gigabytes. 10,000 watts. 10,000 watts. Only. Only 10,000 watts.
Ey, das ist echt
Only
nix.
10,000 watts. The amount of airflow is really quite amazing to cool it.
Das sind
And it's
20 High-End
this
Gaming-PCs,
porous
die auf Vollleistung rennen.
fabric in air intake in the front. It looks beautiful, but it's
Das ist
incredibly
nichts.
functional. Air comes traveling through,
Alter.
flows through all of our chips.
Ich will solche leistungsstarken und effizienten Grafikkarten sehen. Die genauso viel Balls haben, ja? Alter.
350 pounds.
And now I'm going to show you the world's strongest and smallest GPU. Das will ich jetzt.
350 pounds. The first time I saw that, I was thinking, I could lift that. Didn't move. And I'm fairly strong, upper body strength. And so 350 pounds. What's inside it is 16 Tesla V132 gigs with 12 MV switches. And it's got
Jensen Huang! So ein Tier. So ein Tier.
200 times. It has 200 times the bandwidth.
Sven, bester Mann. Wir sollten ein 1000 Watt Netzteil verkaufen. 10.000 Watt Netzteil verkaufen. Komplett neuer Markt hat sich erschlossen. Stelle ich mir auch nebenan hin als Heizanlage. Alter Falter.
$1,000, $2,000. Call it $1,000. $200,000 of NICs would be required to connect the top to the bottom. It has that much bandwidth. It has that much bandwidth. If we were to use networking cards, well, we still have to connect multiple of these, and so we have 8 of the world's highest speed NICs from Mellanox to connect multiple of these systems together. It has the two fastest CPUs we can possibly buy, the Xeon Platinums. 30 terabytes of storage. 30 terabytes of storage.
Die Xeons, die er gerade gemeint hat, haben 56 Kerne, oder?
We're going to crunch through a lot of data really, really fast. So all together, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like this.
Oder
This is the Nvidia GTX2, the world's largest GPU, the world's largest add-in card, 2 petaflops, 512 gigabytes, 350 pounds.
Nur ganz kurz, jetzt wissen wir, wo unser Grafikkartenspeicher hin ist, ne? Und wieso es einen Engpass gibt. Weil ein so ein Ding einfach so viel HBM2 in Intus hat wie 500.000 Grafikkarten.
This thing is the curse of all your problems, more. It's so badass.
Guys, did you guys notice the animation? Nvidia's artists are so
Ja, die Xeon haben 28 und deswegen 56 auf dem Asus-Board, was Linus letztens vorgestellt hat. Danke dafür.
You know that we could do it in 3D, but we chose not to. Why?
Because it's real, it's gigantic.
Because it's more fun. You guys want to see it again? Oh, stop motion animation, guys.
Ja, das fehlt noch. And it's designed for mining. Perfekt, Mann.
Guys, I love you guys.
It's designed for mining, ey. Ich kann nicht mehr. Ey, wenn das jetzt gleich jemand hochschreit vom Publikum. And it's designed for mining! It is the world's fastest crypto mining device. Mit dieser Grafikkarte bist du der Imperator des Krypto.
This is a high-performance computer. It's a supercomputer designed for deep learning. And so look at this entire stack of software that was optimized. As a result, running PyTorch, the framework, and training FairSeek, the sequence model used for natural language, used for machine translation, literally took 15 days on a DGX1, which was a world record at the time, and now it takes 1.5 days. Well, the amazing thing is, the researchers don't have 13 days left to sit around. The researchers are now using all kinds of techniques to use AI to create AIs. And so the number of experiments, the number of permutations, the exploration space of AI, sweeping through all the different configurations of architectures and the way to compose it, the number of layers, the training rates, sweeping through all of those hyperparameters and sweeping through all the different architectures at the same time is going to create just hundreds of experiments at one time. And so as a result, with bigger networks, more data, more experimentation, DGX2 couldn't have come at a better time. And so it is 10 times in 6 months. Now the thing that's really amazing is this. How much should we charge?
1.5 million.
I mean, look, it took hundreds of millions of dollars of engineering.
Ist wahrscheinlich
Hundreds
günstig.
of millions of dollars of engineering. This is the first unit, so this is, call it $250 million. And for just an incredible friend-to-friend price of $1.5 million, it seems like it doesn't even seem fair. It doesn't seem fair at all. Nah, ladies and gentlemen.
This is freaking cheap.
$399,000.
Oh, shit. Not bad, ey. Ich ziehe meinen Hut. Das will ich gleich sehen bei den Gaming-Karten, ja? $1.500 durchgestrichen, $399. Das will ich sehen. Das ist ein Nvidia, was ich sehen will, Mann. So hoch stapeln und dann runter.
And so $399,000 for the world's most advanced, most powerful computer. This is what it replaces. 300 dual CPU servers.
Heftig,
Easily
heftig.
for $3 million. Easily for $3 million. Easily for $3 million. But the important thing is 180,000 watts. 180 watts.
Oh, GTV. GTV. GucksTV, ja? GTV, das ist mein Kanal. Wenn es eine GTV gibt, I'm sold. Definitely.
1/18 the power, 1/8 the cost. The more you buy, the more you save. It's incredible.
Alter.
You know, it's
So hyped
amazing
gerade.
how
So
far we've
hyped.
come in just the last 5 years. We started talking about deep learning about 6 or 7 years ago, and at the time, the effectiveness wasn't anywhere near what it is today. 5 years later,
And it can play Crisis.
the progress that we've made is literally incredible. And I think it'd just be kind of fun just to do a report card, see what happened in the last 5 years. This is what it looks like. This is what Alex Krzyzewski trained AlexNet on. 2 DGX, 2 GTX 580s. 2 GTX 580s. And it took him 6 days. But those were 6 worthwhile days because he became world famous, he won ImageNet, and kicked off the deep learning revolution. 5 years later, we could train it in 18 minutes. 5 years later, we could train it in 18 minutes. 500 times faster.
Ja, die 580 sind
500
Gaming-Karten.
times faster.
Ich bin gespannt, was jetzt der Vergleich sein wird.
To be able to do a task 500 times faster in 5 years. To be able to do any task 500 times faster. Any task of great importance 500 times faster. Or to be able to do a task of great importance 500 times larger in the same time. This.
So, ganz kurz. Schön, dass du eingeschaltet hast. Also bis jetzt hast du noch nicht so viel verpasst. Wir haben gerade die gesamten Workstations durchgemacht, haben eine 512 Gigabyte HBM2 Workstation gesehen für $399.000. Die größte Grafikkarte der Welt. Heftig, heftig, heftig. Aber noch keine Gaming-Karten. Also GTX 1180 kam noch nicht, aber so hyped gerade, so hyped.
This is the body of work of literally every single employee at Nvidia. We are all in on deep learning, and this is the result. And so over the next several years, it's going to be just utterly incredible because
wir sind so close, so close.
This is some new type of computing. The amount of data
Komm schon. Turing.
is growing exponentially.
Und Turing kann das
There's evidence that with GPU
auch,
computing,
oder so.
the computation is
Komm schon,
growing
ey.
exponentially. And as a result, deep learning networks and deep learning models, AI models, are growing in capability and effectiveness at a double exponential. At a double exponential. More data, more computing, both on an exponential growth, compounding together into some kind of a double exponential for AI. That's one of the reasons why it's moving so fast. Really, really exciting times. The system is complicated, and the software is complicated. And so what we've done is we've created containers. To containerize
We created
all of these
containers.
softwares that are optimized.
Whoa,
One
thumbs up.
container at a time. We put them into Tupperwares, if you will. And by putting them into these Tupperwares, we put them
Leider
on the
nicht,
cloud.
leider
We
nicht.
call
Ist
it
gerade live.
NGC,
Ist gerade
the
live.
Nvidia GPU Cloud. The Nvidia GPU Cloud is not cloud computing. Nvidia GPU Cloud is a cloud registry of all of these containers. 20,000 organizations have downloaded.
Double time, Mr. Huang.
It's running in clouds, it's running in data centers. It's running all over the place. These NGC containers are just completely fabulous. And the reason for that is because irrespective of what cloud you run on, it's exactly the same stack. Because all the clouds have Nvidia GPUs. All of the clouds now can run these stacks. All you have to do is come to that registry. You log in, you download, you run. You log in, you download, you run. It's about like that. 1, 2, 3, easy peasy. 20,000 registered users or organizations, a lot more users, 30 containers. Last year when I stood here, there were a handful. We've updated them, improved them, enhanced them, and we added a whole bunch more to them. And NGC has now been certified. We've certified. We have to test each and every one of these architectures on the data centers that we run on. We've certified AWS, and just today, we're announcing that Google Cloud Platform, GCP, Ali Cloud, Oracle Cloud will also be certified, has also been certified. Okay, so now they're available on multiple clouds. This is the only architecture that is
Krass, wir haben sogar fast 10 Zuschauer.
And in fact,
Danke, Leute.
it runs obviously on DGXs, so it runs on any cloud and in-prem, so that's hybrid cloud. So ladies and gentlemen, our latest release of NGC.
Okay, du verdienst den Applaus, Mr. Huang, aber du weißt, wofür du den Hype verdienen würdest. Komm schon. Plaster. Touring. It's plaster.
Plaster. Plaster. Programmability.
Hat er sich das gerade aus der Nase gezogen?
Because the number of network species
Plaster.
is growing exponentially. And they're evolving, they're getting more and more complicated. Latency.
Wir hatten es
Because
okay.
without low latency, you
Passt
can't
schon.
have a good quality of service. Accuracy. If your model isn't accurate, there is no way that it could predict the right answer, or more importantly, revenues get hurt. Quality of service is compromised. Prediction is compromised.
Oh, nice.
Size.
Ach so, ich dachte, wir sind jetzt weniger.
Smaller
Nice,
these
nice,
networks
nice.
are, the more of these services we can fit in a data center.
Das
Throughput.
freut mich sehr.
Ultimately, these data centers are enormous capital investments, and the higher the throughput for the billions of people who are using it, the lower the cost, the more money you save.
Plaster.
Energy efficiency. We are consuming a lot of energy all around the world.
Ich würde mich mit dem Namen zufrieden geben, wenn es eine Gaming-Karte wäre.
That dramatically reduces energy. Energy efficiency and rate of learning. Rate of learning. In machine learning,
Rage!
it's about the amount of data that you have, the amount of computing you have, but ultimately it's about how fast you're learning. The more new data you have, the faster computers you have, the faster rate of learning.
Komm
You're going
schon.
to deploy the model. You're going to learn from the new experiences. You're going to collect new data. You're going to train the current model. You're going to deploy it. That rate of learning is what defines success in the new world of machine learning. Ladies and gentlemen, I invented this word.
Ich sag's doch aus der Nase gezogen. I freaking invented this word. Ich sag doch, solche Balls.
The second thing I want you to remember today, this is not a complicated conference. More you buy, the more you save. And number two,
Cha-ching.
inference is complicated. Anybody who thinks that inference is easy, you know what, I'm just going to go buy a ASIC, stick it in my data center. Here's an ASIC, here's an FPGA, I'm going to stick that in my data center. Unfortunately, we know that hyperscale data centers are the most complicated computers the world has ever made. It's the size of these rooms. Billions of dollars are dedicated to it. It serves billions of people. How could it be simple? Building one computer for one user is plenty hard enough as it is. Building a supercomputer, hyperscale, that serves billions of people, delivering great quality of service while minimizing operational cost, it can't possibly be easy. Inference is hard because everything matters. Programmability matters, latency matters.
Sadly, they haven't.
Matters,
Sadly, they
size
haven't.
Matters, throughput matters, energy efficiency matters, and rate of learning matters. God, how did I do that? Come on, you guys, that's fairly good. I was trying to figure out how I was going to explain the complexity of inference last night. This is it. Brand new slide. Just one slide. We're done. Plaster. So we've dedicated just an enormous amount of resources to solving this problem for inference for hyperscale data centers. Their workload is really complicated. From image and video workload, natural language understanding workload, recommendation systems, recommenders, speech synthesis, speech recognition. They have all kinds of different types of networks, sequence-to-sequence networks, deep generator networks, something perceptron. What's MLP? Where's Mike Houston? Multi-layer perceptrons, for God's sake. And neural collaboration filters. Okay, recurrent neural networks, CNNs, of course. And so we started working on TensorRT, which takes the output of these frameworks, which are these massively complex computational graphs, and we have to target for all of the parameters that I just told you about. And we got to make that network as small as possible, as high performance as possible, and yet retain all of its accuracy. And each one of the target devices, of course, are a little different because our GPUs for deployment are different than the GPUs for training. And so initially, 1 year ago, we announced CNN. And then 6 months later, we announced 8-bit integer so that we could have multiple types of precision so that we could adapt for which one of the networks could lose a little precision at the benefit of a lot more throughput. We then supported Tensor Core 6 months ago. Today, we're announcing the largest battery of new tools, the largest battery of new algorithms and new libraries for inference that we've ever announced. First of all, TensorRT 4.0. Brand new TensorRT. It now has the ability to handle recurrent neural networks, sequence to sequence. It has
Komm schon, wir wollen keine Tensor-Cores sehen.
integration into TensorFlow. I want to thank the engineers at Google who took TensorRT and our compilers and integrated it natively into TensorFlow. And so in the future, when you're done training the network, you could run that network fully optimized right on the target device. We worked with the team of Caldi framework, the most popular voice recognition, speech recognition framework called Caldi, has now been fully optimized for TensorRT, for NVIDIA's architecture. And then lastly, Onyx, a brand new backend that supports PyTorch, supports MXNet, supports Windows, and has the same backend for Windows ML. We now have full optimization across the stack, and as a result, the trained networks that we train in all these different types of networks and all these different types of frameworks can now have the opportunity to be deployed into the world's hyperscale data centers. Four brand new capabilities addressing
totally new gaming GPUs.
Still lots and lots of work that we have to do in collaborating with all of you.
So close.
But if we're successful in doing so, the millions of hyperscale servers can now be accelerated. Up until now, we've only been able to accelerate just those ones that are really focused on image and video. But in the future, starting with this generation, starting with today, we can now accelerate voice, speech, natural language understanding, recommender systems, as well as images and videos. Well, we've pulled together some of the latest results. It's really, truly amazing. Images are accelerated 190 times. Natural language, this is the Google Natural Machine Translator, GNMT for natural language understanding, 50 times. The neural collaborative filter that is in the SAP recommendation system that IBM recently announced as well, those architectures, the NCF has been accelerated 45 times. Speech synthesis, WaveNet, 36 times, and speech recognition, 60 times. If we just assume that video and images and speech and voice and all of that stuff is all on balance approximately equal load, in aggregate, we're going to speed up hyperscale data centers with our GPUs with this generation of optimizations 100x. We would increase the throughput by 100x. Or another way of saying it is we're going to save a lot of money. You guys, come on, we've done this before. You guys know the drill. The more you buy, the more you save. And with 100x speed up, just imagine how much you will save. Well, now that we have all these accelerated frameworks and all these accelerated code, how do we deploy it into the world's data centers? Well, it turns out there's this thing called Kubernetes. Ladies and gentlemen, today, yeah, it's okay.
Oh my God.
I know. Kubernetes on Nvidia GPUs. Kubernetes on Nvidia GPUs. Kubernetes on Nvidia GPUs is going to bring so much joy.
Kommt schon, Leute. Ich brauche Gaming-Grafikkarten. One more thing. There's one more thing. Komm schon.
There are people watching this out on the web going, that guy's lost it. That brings joy.
There is no freaking joy in Kubernetes.
Bring joy. And this is going to bring joy because
Kubernetes, what the freaking hell?
These massive workloads that are servicing billions of people. And it's an orchestration layer that orchestrates the workload that's coming in from the cloud.
220 für eine 970.
Resources of the hyperscale data center. Lots of CPUs and lots of memories, lots of networking, lots of storage. And needs to orchestrate it across the sea of servers. And today, it is GPU aware, and it's GPU accelerated. So Kubernetes is now GPU aware. The Docker container is now GPU accelerated. You've got all of the frameworks that I talked about, which is GPU accelerated. And now you got all these inferencing workloads that are now GPU accelerated. And you've got NVIDIA GPUs in all these clouds. And NVIDIA GPUs in all these data centers and servers. And you've got this incredible, wonderful orchestration layer system software called Kubernetes. Life is complete.
Komm schon, trollt uns doch, trollt uns doch. Kubernetes.
Guys, Justin.
Who's
Justin?
Justin?
Of course, you guys have seen this flowers before. Now we're going to do the flowers a little bit differently today. So this is flowers, of course, running on.
Die Nvidia Flowers sieht man jedes Jahr. Das darf sein.
Second and the fastest Skylake that we have. And so Justin, take it away, sir.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, Ryan, excuse me, I'm sorry.
Lol, it's Ryan und nicht Justin.
But Justin got nervous.
I'm sorry. No, it's not me.
Absolutely. So as you said, like
Absolutely.
TensorRT and inference performance, we've laid out the value for it right here. So this is the miracle of deep learning, showing flowers using ResNet 152 on Intel's latest Skylake CPU. So if we click on these, we can see these flowers.
Pelargonium. That's a Snapdragon. Hey,
Verarscht uns. Verarscht uns.
Wow. Come on. That's industry stuff.
That's industry history.
You recognize, I didn't know that it was a flower. It's awesome.
Trollt uns so heftig.
Blanket flower. Okay, so now show us what it looks like on the GPU. So Ryan, this is now running on NVIDIA GPUs. Okay, so this is Volta, right?
Yep.
This is what? Hey guys, yeah, that's right. The more you buy, the more you save. Okay, check this out. Ryan, so this is one
7700 K.
This is one GPU.
Exact same network.
This is one GPU?
Yep.
That's nuts. This is one GPU. How are we going to make it a living if this is one GPU?
Sie verarschen uns gerade mit den Blumen. Sie verarschen uns mit den freaking GPUs.
Yep, we got it running in Kubernetes. So imagine
Sie verarschen uns und trollen uns so heftig mit den scheiß Blumen aus den letzten 1000 Jahren. Ey.
So we're going to scale this up. Let's look at what a larger load looks like. There we go. That's a larger load. So we need to handle that load. So what we do is we can ask Kubernetes.
It's
to say,
a freaking
let's make multiple
joke.
replicas of that same container. And so I'm going to add 8 replicas in. You're going to see them come in. And I'm going to add them into the load balancer.
Wir stehen so kurz vor.
And as I add them in,
More Picks, wir sind so kurz vor. Wir sind so kurz vor. Die neue Generation kommt gleich. Nach den Blumen, nach den Blumen. Wir hatten bis jetzt die ganzen Serverkarten, Workstations, die größte Grafikkarte der Welt mit 512 HBM2, 512 GB HBM2, 512. So ein Schrank, 300 Kilo meint er, oder 300 Pound. Und er trollt uns gerade mit den Blumen, mit den freaking Nvidia Blumen. Wir sind so close for Turing, Leute, so close. So close.
So you could have some of it in the cloud and some of it in data center. You could have some of it in this cloud, some of it
Leute,
in that cloud.
so close.
Truly amazing. All of this stuff is happening completely invisibly because we've made Kubernetes GPU aware and because the Nvidia architecture and all those containers are literally...
Beast Unleashed, I have no clue when it's going to end. But it has to end with a new generation of GPUs, of gaming GPUs. GeForce cards. That's what we need. Please! Bitte, Leute.
All together. Ryan, what else you got for us?
So as you said, not only can we run it in our local on-prem data center, but we can scale and we can burst into the cloud. So let's take a look at that right now. So I'm going to
Saturn V is at the Nvidia, our Nvidia data center. It's our supercomputer. There are 660 DGXs in Saturn V today. So 660.
Alter, wenn das jetzt gleich zu Ende ist, hast du recht, ey. Mit den verdammten Nvidia-Blumen. Jesus.
So I'm going to add 4 more from the cloud. So this is going to be an example of cloud bursting or cloud fallover. So here we've turned on 4 in the cloud.
Ich habe dich auch zum Verkauf angeregt.
So I'm going to kill off 4 of these GPUs.
Also, wenn jetzt gleich in den nächsten 20 Minuten oder so nichts kommt, dann ja, iGPU wird witzig. Aber dieses Jahr kommt noch was. Nächsten Monat kommen die neuen Monitore im April mit 4K 144 Hertz. Wir brauchen eine Ablösung, ja? Wir brauchen etwas, was Pascal ablöst und was Volta ist. Nvidia Blumen! Wow! Flowers! Komm schon.
A demo of resilience where before and after is exactly the same.
Freaking Kubernetes.
We don't have to show it again because guess what, guys? It looks exactly the
Amco, ich hoffe, du willst die Karten nicht zum Meinen benutzen. Du böser Mensch.
And this is one of the most amazing things about modern hyperscale computing. And we now have cloud to cloud, we have any cloud, we have cloud to prem, we have any prem, and so the Nvidia architecture, all of these frameworks, all GPU accelerated, is now possible orchestrated on Kubernetes so that it can basically run everywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, Ryan.
German.
So,
it's German.
Kubernetes on Nvidia GPUs. Kubernetes on Nvidia GPUs.
Kubernetes, ey.
The inference movement on our GPUs is really moving fast. We now have up to 40,000 downloads, I think, of TRT, and it's just picking up steam. And the reason for that is because all these different companies are developing their networks and models, and it's time to deploy them. And they want to deploy them into servers. They want to deploy them into PCs, WinML. You want to deploy them at the edge, IoT devices on Nvidia Jetsons. You want to deploy them on supercomputers. You want to deploy them on hyperscale. You want to deploy them inside companies with SAP. the number of ways you could deploy software is, of course, quite large. And now, with all of our new battery of accelerations for inference and Kubernetes on Nvidia GPUs, we can now literally...
Morphix, was will man mit 4K 144 Hertz? Weiß ich auch nicht, aber es kommen neue Grafikkarten, die endlich WQHD anständig laufen lassen können und 4K ganz normal anständig laufen lassen können. Und günstigere Preise, bitte. Komm schon.
Volta has been doubled in memory size to 32 gig.
Komm schon.
It's now available in DGXs and available in the cloud soon. NGC is now on AWS, GCP, AliCloud and Oracle. And
wir schließen die AI-Plattform ab. LOL, unten rechts steht out of stock. Titan V out of stock.
This year, we announced 4 new battery of acceleration capabilities for inference. New TensorRT 4.0 that is able to handle RNNs and sequence-to-sequence type of models, TensorFlow deep integration, Caldi acceleration, which is the most popular speech recognition system, Onyx, an industry standard backend for inference, and WinML optimization into that. And sorry to say, Titan V is still out of stock. Apparently, the popularity of Titan V is quite high. And so we'll make them as fast as we can, and we'll put them back in the store. And if you could just be patient. Lots of Titan V's being sold. The Nvidia AI platform. You know, all of this, one of the things that, as I was reflecting on this keynote, one of the things that just gives me so much pride, and it's such a great creation, is Nvidia research. For 10 years, Bill Dally has been building Nvidia research. Bill Dally is my chief scientist, and he's the head of Nvidia research, and it's 200 people strong, but the productivity of this organization is just utterly incredible. They're doing fundamental and basic research across the entire stack of computing. You know, the number of fundamental basic research, computer science, industrial computer science organizations, research organizations that are working across the entire stack, all the way from circuits to networks, to parallel processor architectures, programming models, all the way to computer graphics and deep learning. Those aren't that many. And this is 200 people strong across the world. And the thing that's really special about the way we do Nvidia research, it's really a hub and spoke.
What the fuck? Schaut euch das Bild unten links an. Bill Dally, ein Nvidia Chief Scientist. Auf dem Fahrrad, ey. Voll das random Bild, ey.
Some of their contributions you have already seen. Nvidia research initially started RTX, and the 10 years worth of work that they've done has resulted in the Nvidia RTX, or Nvidia optics and Nvidia RTX technology. Nvidia switch that was described today that made the world's largest GPU. cuDNN, the library that has now revolutionized deep learning, all originated at Nvidia research. I'm so proud of these guys. And so, you guys have seen some of the really amazing work. Progressives.
Niklas, wir sind gerade so kurz davor. So kurz davor. Gleich holt er sie, keine Ahnung, aus seiner Hose raus oder so. And here's the next generation of Turing GPUs. They're so small, they're fitting inside of my trousers. Er hat uns gerade 15 Minuten lang Bilder von Blumen gezeigt. Und er denkt, dass er es jetzt so stehen lassen kann? No way, no way. Turing kommt jetzt, bitte, sofort.
Ray tracing hasn't completed yet, but somehow using artificial intelligence, we're able to predict what color and what light it should have been and put that up on the screen in advance, finishing the frame much, much faster. Okay, so let me show you one thing here.
One more thing. One more thing.
Imagine we taught a network how to draw, but we wanted to teach this network how to draw photorealistic images. And so what you're looking at here is, of course, a road. You could imagine that as a road, just like that. Based on our intelligence and based on all of our experience, we know that that's a road. The pink, what is that color? Is that purple? Fuchsia? That's fuchsia? Okay, fuchsia is roads. Blue is cars. Posts are yellow. Green is obviously trees, and gray, that's got to be buildings. And we take this image, and we put it into the artificial intelligence network, and we say to it,
Blumen sind super interessant. Ich habe nichts gegen Blumen.
Okay, we trained this network to do this, and now it's going to create photorealistic images. All from this. What do you guys think?
Oh!
Is
Ja,
that
okay,
just
das
amazing?
ist
So
nicht
this
schlecht.
artificial intelligence network is actually synthesizing information, and we're teaching it to synthesize roads, things that you would see on roads, and synthesize it in a photorealistic way. Ladies and gentlemen, Nvidia research is now all over the world. I'm so proud of this team. Here's Seattle, Redmond, Santa Clara, of course, Salt Lake City, Austin, St. Louis, Westford, Virginia, Charlottesville, Durham, North Carolina, Helsinki, Lund, Berlin. Some of the greatest cities around the world. 200
Oh,
strong.
Berlin!
We're growing. Reach out to us. We love to work with you.
Okay. Not bad, ey. Das war gerade interessant. Also,
One of the largest industries in the world, $10 trillion large. And we believe that someday everything that moves will be autonomous or have autonomous capabilities.
würde mich interessieren, was ihr zu dem Thema Autonomous haltet, also oder was ihr davon denkt. Allgemein, selbstfahrende Autos.
The cities are getting too crowded and
Ja
people
oder
are
nein?
having to move further and further away. The online purchasing phenomenon, the Amazon phenomenon, is causing more and more people to not go to the store, but to wait for the store to come to us.
More pics?
Somebody
See
has
you.
to drive those atoms to us. And as a result of so much increase in population, another billion people are going to come into society in the next 12 years. We already have over 1 billion parking spaces. We have
Freaking parking spaces! I have space in my computer. I need a GPU. A good one. A new one.
being built in the most precious places in the world, city centers. Autonomous vehicles has the opportunity to reduce the cost of transportation, make it easier for people to get around, live further away from the cities and work, and of course revolutionize the way we design cities. However,
Freaking hell. Komm schon, ey.
it's hard. Safety is the single most important thing. It is really, really hard technology. It's probably the hardest computing problem
Komm schon.
that the world has ever encountered. Safety is the most important thing. And as we're reminded just last week with the fatal accident that happened, we're reminded that this work is ultimately vitally important, that we have to dedicate ourselves, commit ourselves to solving this problem. But we have to solve it step by step by step.
With more and more deaths.
Of capability, because we know so much is at stake, and we have the opportunity to save so many lives in the future if we do it right. And so we at Nvidia,
Dank dir, vielen, vielen lieben Dank für den Support.
the grandest of computer problems. Just imagine this. You've got these cars with all these different sensors. Some of them radar that could sense motion, LiDAR that can measure depth, but don't see very well in light and snow and fog, cameras with super high resolution, but can't see in the dark, infrared that can see in the dark, but doesn't have very high resolution. We take all of these sensors and we fuse them together into a super sensor. This sensor, this super sensor, we call them sensor fusion, this super sensor could measure depth, it could recognize motion, it could detect things.
It is
It
gigantic.
could see in the dark. But in order to do this, and to compute it in such a high rate of speed as the car is moving, and to take action
10 Minuten. Komm schon. Doch, kriegt er hin.
is incredibly hard. The
Es ist
algorithm-
Jensen Huang.
This entire system has never been created in totality.
Er hat innerhalb dieser Vorstellung ein neues Wort erfunden.
This system has not even been once created in totality. We're dedicating ourselves.
Und ich hab's schon wieder vergessen. War das Squash
This
oder
is the ultimate
Plaster?
high
Plaster
performance computing
oder so, ne?
problem. This is the ultimate deep learning problem. This is the ultimate AI
Jesus.
problem, and we think we can solve this. We think we can make it just an enormous contribution to this.
Glaubst du echt, dass er exakt um
it's
8
a
Schluss
hard
macht?
problem. The software is hard. The algorithms are hard. But it's also a safety problem, meaning these computers have to continue to operate well even when faults are detected. We have to be able to detect the faults when it happens, and we have to manage the faults, meaning continue to manage the car properly and safely even after we've detected the fault. The level of functional safety required to make this thing happen is just really, really high. A level that the computer industry has really not dedicated itself to understand, because this is something in the transportation industry, is something that is obviously very well understood in the airplane industry. We've dedicated our last 5 to 7 years to understand this entire system. And what Nvidia is dedicating ourselves to do is to solve the problem from end to end. There are 4 basic pillars to what we do. There's collecting of data. These cars are collecting petabytes and petabytes of data. We take these data and we have, well, collecting of data. I'm going to come back to that. Training models. These models, of course, cars, road signs, people, bikes, trains, motorcycles, trees.
Komm schon, autonomous driving, das kann nicht die final line sein. Bitte, 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 ey. Bring es zu Ende.
We have to train our neural network with extreme precision to do this. And then we have to simulate it. Simulation is going to be the foundation of success. And I'm going to talk about that in a second. And then lastly, drive it. Creating the driving computer, that's the computer that has the horsepower to compute everything in real time. Energy efficient, like all of the energy efficiency comments that and examples that I've shown you. Because ultimately, energy efficiency translates to battery life. And battery life translates to mileage, miles of operation, which for many car
Leute, ab in den Chat nochmal für die letzten paar Minuten Hype hochbringen. Hype hochbringen. Hype, 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 hype.
Also allows us to put multiple redundant computers inside the system. The more energy efficient we are, the more computing systems we can put inside the car so that it could be redundant, diverse, and provide functional safety. We have to drive the car, the computer, the system software, and all the algorithms on top. We're building the end-to-end systems. First, let me talk to you about perception. In fact, you can almost piece together all of the work that I've talked about so far into this system. It's called the Nvidia Perception Infrastructure. We are building a supercomputing infrastructure in our company. There's 660 petaflops of supercomputing horsepower already in our company. This is a giant data problem. I've already just said each one of these cars are collecting petabytes and petabytes of data every single week. And from that data, we label it in our data factory. We use all kinds of tools and AI tools and trained professionals to label each and every one of these images so carefully. And the reason for that is this. We label it once, and cars in the millions get to benefit it forever. And so we take labeling incredibly seriously. This is not a crowdsourcing problem. This is a professional labeling problem. We have 1,500 people. We're labeling about 1 million images per month. And we're just going to keep on labeling. And from these labels, we're able to create the perception networks that you'll see of incredible levels.
Man fragt nicht nach Volta, wenn wir noch gar keine andere Alternative haben. Ey. Es soll Turing kommen als erstes und Turing soll Volta integriert haben.
In the future, your source code is your data and all the code and all the
Genau, wird die neue Quadro für 8.000 gekauft. Läuft auf selber hinaus, ne, vom Preis.
This infrastructure inside Nvidia is called the perception infrastructure.
Hype, 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 hype.
At the end of it, it produces
Buddy, don't be proud about self-driving cars.
The self-driving car is not one network. It's a whole bunch of networks, and there'll be a whole bunch more. We already have 10. By the time that we ship in a couple of years, call it 20 or 30. Each one of the 10 networks, there are 10 DGXs assigned to one network.
Mein Auto wird von der GTX 1080 betrieben.
Every single day.
Heftig.
And then we have to validate it and verify it. Many of those DGXs will then have to be used for testing and verification against the entire body of work and the test data that we've stored up over time. Let me show you some of the results.
Results?
And so,
also ich meine, das ist ein wichtiger Markt, ne? Das heißt, der darf jetzt nicht zu kurz kommen. Ich meine, Nvidia hat sich das innerhalb der letzten 2-3 Jahre richtig heftig erarbeitet.
Not only do we detect things that we shouldn't collide with, we also have to detect spaces so that that is safe to drive to. Meaning, on the one hand, we detect obstacles On the other hand, we detect free space. So between those two algorithms, we have redundancy and diversity. We have so much redundancy and diversity all through our system. We do everything 2 or 3 different ways and 2 or 3 different times so that we can make sure that what we ultimately do is right. Distance perception. Here's using an artificial intelligent network that was trained with LiDAR labeling so that it could predict the distance of objects. Weathered. We've trained it with so much data that is now robust across all kinds of poor weather conditions.
Sven, da kommt noch was, da kommt noch was.
For object detection. We use radars for object detection. We also use LiDARs for object detection. Not just how far away
in der ISC in April, ja, da kommen, glaube ich, die Monitore, ne? Glaubt ihr, dass parallel dazu auch die Grafikkarten released werden? ISC West, wann ist die? Im April?
And then we use deep learning to detect what those objects are. And so LiDAR perception. We do scene perception. One of the hardest things isn't just to detect the light. Intersections where you're supposed to stop or be cautious aren't always properly labeled. And so we have the ability to detect scenes of all kinds of intersections so that we could be much, much more alert. Our path perception is not just about calculating the path, but calculating to perceiving the trajectory of the path that is most comfortable and safe. LiDAR localization. You got to figure out exactly where you are in space compared to an HD map. You want to figure out where you are relatively in space using your camera as well. Camera localization even to HD maps. So if you had an HD map, we could figure out where we are. It's an additional sensor, in fact. And then lastly, every single car is also a mapping car. If you have all of this technology inside your car that I just mentioned, your car becomes a mapping car. Which means that when you drive it in the beginning,
10. April fängt das an. Ich glaube, am 10. April geht's los, die ICS in Vegas.
And most of those routes won't have an HD map in the beginning. And so we'll use our own cars, your car, to map and create a really high fidelity 3-dimensional map. And then after that, you could use it as an extra sensor to give you additional information to localize within it for safety. Okay? So camera.
Ja, die Gaming-Sparte ist, denke ich, auch eher kleiner. Ist zwar von der medialen Reichweite um einiges größer, aber das ist halt trotzdem eine Sparte, die verkauft sich. Wir brauchen dennoch irgendeinen Spoiler, irgendwas. Irgendwas.
In the meantime, of course, we're going to develop and offer development systems and training systems, simulation systems of all kinds. But this is going to be a long journey that is step by step by step. As I mentioned, this is really one of the most complex computing problems we've ever encountered because of the diversity of the problem, the complexity of problems, all the different types of algorithms involved, and multiplied exponentially as a result of safety concerns. And so let me just show you some of the latest clips. Guys?
Wir überziehen, wir sind um
technology that has been created to make all of this stuff happen, it's just you know, it's washing over me, and it's truly an amazing thing, and the reason why it's so hard, the question is, why don't we just put up a car?
Ja, das war echt beeindruckend.
Demo a car. Well, it turns out our challenge is we're trying to create a AV computing system and an AV computing, AV driving flow and infrastructure.
Hype, Leute.
So that the entire transportation industry can take advantage of this massive investment that we're making and create the future of autonomous vehicles. And as you know, there are all kinds of different sizes and shapes and price points of cars. But every one of them should have the advantages of autonomous capability to either help you drive or keep you safe while you drive. Notice we showed you earlier Janine, was a video of Janine, and she's driving, she's pretending like she's sleepy. She's never sleepy. I've never seen her sleepy once. And so she's pretending like she's sleepy, and our AI...
What the fuck war das für ein Kommentar? I never saw her sleeping once. Das war so eine Seiteninfo, die keinen interessiert hat, oder? Läuft da was zwischen Jensen Huang und Janine? I never saw her sleeping once.
Using driver monitoring and cabin monitoring and AI, we're able to make sure that not only is the car doing the right thing, but the passengers inside are doing the right things. This entire infrastructure, this entire system is just such a great...
Ja, ich schaue den Stream auch so aus allgemeinem Interesse. Also nicht nur wegen des Gamings. Primär, weil ich eine neue Karte brauche und will, aber auch wegen des ganzen anderen. Also.
In the end, this is an AV computer. And as you know, computer are software defined. One of the most powerful things about today's cloud computing is that the entire cloud infrastructure is software defined. One of the most amazing things about today's cell phones versus yesterday's feature phone is that today's cell phones are software defined. One of the reasons why
das Nvidia Smartphone
revolution instead of a typewriter is because the PC is software defined. Architecture matters. If you're a software engineer, you care about the hardware architecture. And because Nvidia is not a chip company, we are a computer architecture company. We're a software company. We care about computer architecture. We care about the fact that the software will run on all of these different computers for as long as we shall live, so that we can make the software better and better and better over time, and the entire fleets and cars that we deployed gets better and better and better and safer and more comfortable over time. And so we created one architecture roadmap, and it basically starts like this. 2 years ago, we introduced Drive PX Parker, and we created, that's a one-chip solution for a very basic car, and then we created a 4-chip solution for Drive PX2, which is the development system for most of the autonomous vehicles that you see.
Okay, ist es noch autonomous
PX2 at the time,
driving?
When I brought it out, we were laughed at. People laughed at me for bringing out such a large computer. Well, it turns out I did make a mistake. I didn't make that computer large enough. And the reason for that is because the amount of software that the world needed to develop is far more than what anybody realized. And so our basic methodology is this. Then 2 years later, this year, we created the Drive Xavier. Basically, we took 4 chips, the computational capability of those 4 chips in those 300 watts, and we shrunk it into one miracle chip. Xavier is the most complex SoC the world's ever created. It's great for high-performance computing, it's great for deep learning, it's great for computer vision, sensor fusion. It is the largest single chip we have ever made short of Volta.
Oh.
9 billion transistors. Unbelievable amount of engineers on it. Xavier is now sampling. Then from Xavier, we created a 4-chip system. 2 Xaviers and 2 Voltas together. Another running at a very low temperature and voltage, another 300-watt computer emerged. And that 300-watt computer is being used in robot taxi and self-driving car system development all over the world.
Das wird heute sowas von was.
Today. Both of them will be in production by the end of this year. Completely architectural compatible, auto grade, auto grade to the extreme temperatures and operating conditions of a car. It is super energy efficient.
Stefano, close.
Matters, redundancy matters, and it is also ASIL-D. This is the first lineup of computers that Nvidia has ever made.
Sven, neues iPad. Oh, hype.
ISO 26262.
Komm schon.
ASIL-D is a rigor like you have never seen before. From process, because ASIL-D has only been done on small computers, not computers of this type, and not on a software stack of this complexity. This is just a gigantic investment on our part, but it's so important, and we got to do this right. All of the engineers that are working on this, I want to thank you so much for doing this. Everything from the architecture.
Sanji, nein, ich bin mir nicht sicher. Ich hoffe es.
Even the documentation, so that it can ultimately be certified and traced all the way back, if anything were to happen. Because 100% of all the IP and all of those chips were created here at Nvidia. We have the ability to produce traceability for as long as we shall live. This is just a giant.
Guys, we need that. We need Turing now. Wir brauchen Turing jetzt. Und nicht in einem Monat.
Pegasus, as powerful as it is,
give it to me.
Multiple of them
give it to me.
In self-driving cars, driverless cars. And the reason for that is because there's so many LiDARs, so many cameras, so many radars that are being deployed. So we're not stopping here. Our next generation is called Orin. And we're going to take basically those 8 chips, two drive Pegasuses, and we're going to put it into a couple of Orins. Incredible amounts of computation in one little chip. And of course, with Orin, there will be discrete GPUs that we will continue to build. There are some code names I won't share with you today. I'll save some surprises for next time. It will create also an amazing processor for autonomous driving cars. Auto grade, super energy efficient, fully ASIL.
Hat jetzt gerade einen Hint auf Gaming GPUs machen wollen?
Nvidia's drive roadmap.
Hoffentlich nicht. Komm schon. Jensen Huang, please.
Let me tell you why this problem is just so incredibly hard. Well, it turns out the world civilization drives about 10 trillion miles per year. Okay, 10 trillion miles.
Ja, ist gut zusammengefasst.
It's 10 trillion miles. It's 1,000 billion. It was 10,000 billions. 10 trillion.
Es fehlen noch Blumen.
10 trillion miles. And in the United States, 770 accidents happen from 1 billion miles. 770 accidents happen from 1 billion miles. The amount, the safety work that has been done throughout the years in the United States has really reduced the amount of fatalities and accidents. And yet, it would take you driving 1 billion miles, society driving 1 billion miles in the United States to produce 770 accidents. And so the question that you have to ask yourself is, how confident are you when your car, your fleet of test cars of 20, over 1 year has driven about 1 million miles? It takes 20 cars driving test drive all year long to test drive 1 million miles. And yet it takes 1 billion miles to have experienced 770 accidents. And we're trying to build a system that is better than humans at driving. And so clearly the amount of coverage, scenario coverage and miles coverage is just not possible in real life. And this is where NVIDIA's skill can really shine. We know how to build virtual reality worlds. And so we imagine this, that in the future, there'll be thousands of these virtual reality worlds with thousands of different scenarios running at the same time. And our AI car is
Habe ich mir auch gedacht, ey, noch mehr Autos.
And testing itself in all of these virtual reality worlds. And if any of those tests were to fail, it would send us an email. We would jump into it in virtual reality and figure out what's going on. You guys see that? So we have all these virtual reality worlds. Well, let me show it to you today. Mark?
Who's Mark? Who the freaking hell is Mark?
What is this? This is a virtual reality simulator. And before you start, this is the front view, your side mirrors, and your rear view. Okay? Go ahead, Mark. Hey, Mark, how's it going?
Hey, Mark.
One of NVIDIA's veterans.
Thank you. Well, let's start this thing. We're going to we're jittering our world. We're running 4 simultaneous cameras, as you mentioned. We've got a pretty aggressive driver here in front of us. We've defined a scenario is causing all the traffic to jam up. But as you mentioned, we got all the cameras. So we're running on multiple GPUs, so it's a scalable system.
Kennt ihr den Busfahrer-Simulator?
More sensors, more cameras, more lidars.
Das nächste große Projekt von Nvidia.
And we're showing that to you right here.
Okay, so we could do, of course, we could simulate daylight scenario. Let's simulate other scenarios.
Okay, let's. Why don't we turn the lights out and go to night? So here's the same setup. Only now we're doing all the dynamic.
Ich bin auch verwirrt, dass es jetzt schon über 2 Stunden geht.
The light posts that are lighting the road, the lights under the bridge as we drive under here, these are all dynamic real-time lights.
And the key here is that the fidelity of the simulation has to be sufficiently high that the sensor stack, all the software that we create, would just operate as they would in real life.
That's exactly right.
Right? So and every one of the sensors needs to have GPU associated with it to generate its view of the universe, its view of the world that it's in. And so today we're simulating with 4 GPUs, with 4 cameras, but obviously we have the ability to spawn off a whole large number of GPUs. So if you have 8 LiDAR systems around your car, you have 8 cameras around your car, you have 6
So
radars,
freaking
you have the ability
hyped.
to generate all of that
Still hyped,
and
still
put that
hyped.
information
Aber bitte lasst mich hier nicht rausgehen, ohne dass mein Hype hier gerechtfertigt war.
Our artificial intelligence network,
Lol.
all the network, all the
Das ist ein
software
Unfall.
that we ran, that we developed, should just work. So Mark, let's turn that on.
That's right. Okay, so let's. Here we go. Now this is what our drive stack is seeing on Drive PX. This is all the detection of the cars in the world, the lane detection you're seeing going on, and we've been self-driving.
Oh,
this whole
Kameraakku.
time, by the way. So as we ran into that little traffic jam.
Shit. Ja, ich hab...
detected it and slowed
Shit.
down and
Okay, es kann sein, dass es
We're detecting all the cars, we're detecting all the lanes.
dann
But
aufhören
here's the
wird.
amazing thing.
Danke, dass du
Earlier
mich
the
darauf
video
aufmerksam
that you
gemacht hast.
saw were real cars in the real
Normalerweise
world.
habe ich
We
das
can
an
change
der
one
an der
line
Steckdose
by line.
angeschlossen, aber ich kann nicht wechseln, ohne den Stream abzubrechen. Und ich habe mich sehr stark beeilt. Also, wenn, dann müssen wir vielleicht auf Streambild verzichten. Aber ich hoffe, dass die Kamera noch so lange aushält. Ich habe halt gestern Abend noch aufgenommen und hatte keine Zeit zum Chargen. Okay. Noch müsste Bild da sein.
The perception, the localization, the planning stack all work exactly the same way.
Blink, 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 blink,
So we
blink.
reached the end of that scenario.
Come
Can I
on!
show you another one?
Yeah, show me another
Okay.
scenario.
So let's switch to the other system.
And so this is one of the beautiful things in virtual reality. We could create whatever scenario we want. And as you know, in test car driving,
Yep, der Akku war nur bis
days,
20 Uhr
months,
ausgelegt.
weeks, and never run into a weird
Ich dachte nicht, dass ich laden muss.
We could create all
Ich
kinds
dachte
of
nicht, dass es so lange geht.
in virtual reality.
Normalerweise habe ich so einen Kuppler, mit dem ich die Kamera über Steckdose betreiben kann. Und ich dachte, komm, der Stream wird nur 2 Stunden gehen, ich brauche bestimmt nicht aufladen. Und jetzt quatscht er schon 20 Minuten länger über Autos und Blumen.
And it's coming up on
Oh,
the-
ey.
There you go.
We want GPUs, we want gaming GPUs, now.
Some of that strobing effect could affect the sensor, so we need
Bitte.
to make sure we're modeling that correctly.
Ey Leute, ihr macht mich fertig.
And so, the first is to recreate virtual reality in all kinds of weather conditions and day and night.
Jetzt bin ich derbe nervös,
It has to be-
dass das
it has
Bild
to have the
wegfällt.
fidelity and the performance that basically simulates reality. Two, that simulation of reality has to be so high, and the computer itself has to be
Oh,
able
shit,
to
ey.
run the original.
Naja, aber Ton wird trotzdem da sein, alles
so that we
entspannt.
could test everything
Also
as
mich werdet ihr hören
inside
und das
of
Bild
virtual
werdet ihr auch noch
reality
sehen,
world.
nur
And when it
mich
passes
halt nicht.
that, then we can take it and put it into the car completely unchanged. We just OTA directly into the car, and it should just work. And then third, we could use it to create.
Also ich bin dafür auch gerne bereit, länger zu warten, wenn GPUs rankommen. Gar kein Ding. Oh, Polizei.
That police car shows up exactly the same way.
That's right.
And so we could have the ability, if with repeatability, engineers could debug systems.
That's right.
These three
Determinism.
fundamental capabilities are made possible. We call this Drive Sim.
That's right.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Daly.
That's right.
Mr. Daly!
And so Drive Sim, just
One more
imagine the amount
thing.
of capability
One
technology
more
that has been
thing.
brought to bear. drive sim, the simulator, but most importantly, the computer inside it and all the driving stacks. And so you got the image generator. This image generator is generating the world. Now, this image generator in the context
Image
of a video
generator.
game, this image generator is a gaming PC.
Oh mein Gott, ich dachte, der
that
Stream.
would be driving the car would be a person driving the racing simulator. But no, we replace that person with a artificial intelligence AV computer, a self-driving car computer. Inside the self-driving car computer,
A computer who's driving a self-driving computer.
Xavier and the Drive Pegasus. And
Autonomous Drivingception oder so?
What the fuck? And there's a sensor adapter, and it goes directly into the drive computers. The exact same software stack runs, and it performs the right actions, perceives the world, performs the right actions, sends back the driving control to the image generator, which controls this virtual reality world. We will have thousands of, we call this drive constellation. Pegasus in the sky, a constellation of them. Pegasus in the sky, a constellation of them.
Wie sich über seinen Namen freut. Pegasus in the sky.
Simultaneously, and hopefully we could cover a large coverage of scenarios.
Nvidia, du hast es zu verantworten, wenn der Kameraakku alle ist, bevor du anfängst, über irgendwas zu quatschen, ne?
Incredible.
Freaking credible. Und jetzt, gib ihm.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Nvidia Drive Sim and our constellation, and it is how we're going to bridge the gap between actual test driving and the trillions of miles and the billions of miles that we need to experience over time.
Come on.
Well, as I mentioned, Nvidia has created a platform. It's an open platform, and it takes a community to build the future of autonomous driving. It's about the car companies, it's about the trucking companies, it's about mobility service companies. It's about the tier 1 suppliers that are expert in building these systems and components for car companies. But it's about mapping companies, it's about sensor companies. We work so closely with all the LiDAR companies and all the camera companies to make sure that these future sensors are as high fidelity, as high performance, and as robust as possible, and that the algorithms they use are as efficient as possible. We work with startups all over the world. NVIDIA's platform is an open platform. Last year we had 320 partners. The year before that we had 250 partners, and today we have 370 partners. We're working with people all over the world. This is one of the world's largest industries. We're making the fundamental investment for the future of AV computing. The AV computer, all the software driving stack, and the end-to-end development system that will support this fleet and this industry for as long as we shall live, and continue to make it better over time, taking it step by step.
Bitte beende es nicht, Leute.
Well, the self-driving car is the first. In the future,
robots
will augment
robots
in all kinds of different places.
Hype for gaming GPUs, Leute.
Of course, the Amazon effect. We used to drive to pick up groceries. In the future, groceries will come to us. And this is going to happen in all kinds of different industries. Artificial intelligence and autonomous machines will help revolutionize just about every single industry, making us more productive, making us more efficient, do things that are otherwise impossible to do or too laborious to do or just simply too hard to do. And so we've created a platform like we've done with Drive. We call this Isaac. Today, we're going to release the first little version of that. This is such a great achievement. And so basically, in the future, you're going to be doing simulation as a development system, because these robots have to work in a
GTX robot. Oh my gosh.
Three-dimensional world simulator we call the Isaac Lab. In the Isaac Lab, we will develop the perception capability, the localization capability, the mapping capability, and the planning capability that is necessary for robots
R2D2 TI.
to navigate these complex worlds.
R2D2 TI.
And so we already have our deep learning systems that I've mentioned. And then we take, because it's hardware in the loop, the hardware is driving the simulator. When you're done with the simulator, that hardware
Bis 21 Uhr, ey.
entire software stack, and we call that the Isaac SDK.
Wenn es dann noch keine Grafikkarten gibt, no way.
Our little computer we call Jetson
Ich habe heute noch viel zu tun, ey. Und er quatscht so lange und redet nicht über Grafikkarten.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Isaac Robotics platform ready to come to the world.
Du musst die gesamte Welt um dich drumherum visualisieren und rendern können. Und das wird berechnet auf einem Chip. Das hat deswegen noch mit GPUs zu tun. Aber ich will nicht solche GPUs gerade sehen. Ich will eine Grafikkarte sehen. Eine Gaming-Grafikkarte mit GeForce-Logo drauf. Jesus. Aber geil. Geil. Definitiv cool.
This is something we've been working on, and it's just so exciting. Now, it's never been seen in the world before, and it's far from finished. It's far from finished, and I thought that as a close, I would invite you into Nvidia's lab. Nvidia does a lot of things in the holodeck today. We'd create the future in virtual reality because that's the only place.
Du hast gerade nicht aufgepasst.
We created this thing called holodeck, as you guys know. And this project
Der Roboter kam aus dem Nichts. Genauso wie die Grafikkarten gleich.
The entire path of how to deploy these self-driving cars into the world. And as you know, when you have a car that is driving by itself in autopilot mode, the driver is the backup system. The driver is the backup system. If you have a driverless car, who is the backup system? And so the backup system likely will be another person. We would like humans to always be the backup system of AI. And so the question is,
boah, die Kamera ist noch da, noch blinkt
how do
sie.
we solve this problem where an autonomous machine has no operator? It could be a little tiny robot like Carter that you saw earlier.
Ist gleich eine halbe Stunde überzogen.
It could be a little agriculture, little farming equipment, a little Caterpillar tractor that's roaming around doing things, and there are no operators. And so the question is, how do we create the backup system if something were to happen? That's where we have to go, and if you will, get it out of harm's way. Okay?
Nein,
so we imagine this.
nein, die
We know
Webcam.
that virtual reality has the
Ich musste sie
ability
ausmachen, sorry
to
Leute.
teleport us. Virtual reality has the ability to teleport us into a new world, into a different world.
Okay,
And so,
I'm sorry.
before I'm going to show you a little
Okay.
something. This is Justin. Justin Ebert.
Justin!
Justin Ebert. Justin!
Justin!
With this demo. We are currently in the holodeck. I'm going to explain a little bit more as we go through. Okay.
Oh, ich kann den Akku laden.
There is a,
Wartet eine Sekunde, für die letzten paar Minuten. Für die letzten paar Minuten kann ich ihn laden.
And we need to help it. And so the question is, how do we do that?
Thanks, Jensen. Let's check it out.
Das ist natürlich die Überidee. Ihr müsst mir gleich erzählen, was passiert ist. Ich muss nur den Akku an die Stecker.
So we're in holodeck. We just created a virtual reality car.
We call this Drive Lab, and this is where we have a virtual car where we can take over. Our operator, Tim, here is sitting on the side stage, and we can see sensors coming from the vehicle, the remote vehicle that needs help.
Hey, don't go anywhere. Just hey.
Oh, we're not going anywhere.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we're not going anywhere.
Oh, wieder Autos.
We're gonna wait and talk this through. So you can see there's
This is so incredible, you guys. This is just utterly incredible. First of all,
So incredible.
I'm gonna hand it back to you in just a second.
no problem.
What you're looking at is live.
Yeah.
This is holodeck. This is holodeck. There's a virtual reality car. Okay? The virtual reality driver is sitting right there. His name is Tim Huang. Tim, if you guys raise your hand, there you go. Tim is the virtual reality driver. He is inside this virtual reality car. He is inside the holodeck. He's not with us.
Oh mein
That's
Gott.
just a sack of humanity we call Tim Huang. and so Tim is currently in holodeck. He is looking at this virtual world, and you see the video that's being piped in? That is literally live. That is live right now. Okay? All right, Justin, take it away.
Yeah, no problem. So yeah, as Jensen said, this is actually out back here and in a private area. And let's bring in.
Oh mein Gott, es steht ganz unten
show him taking over
Gaming.
this vehicle here, and let's show that he has control over the car as well. So there's the real car out there, and so Tim, you can turn the steering wheel a little bit.
Geil.
Oh, come on, cut it out.
Ich versuche noch Bild zu bekommen für die letzten paar Minuten, wenn Gaming rankommt.
Yeah, so he engaged.
Are you guys putting this in your head right now? There's Tim in reality, but he's inside virtual reality, controlling a car that's in reality, but it's not here.
That's crazy.
Are you guys following me?
Crazy.
Okay.
Geil, ey.
It's like 3 layers of Inception right now.
It's 3 layers of Inception, dasselbe habe ich auch gedacht. Voll gut.
Engaged remote drive, you can see, so he knows he has.
I still remember when
So the guy is driving a simulated car, which is simulating a real life car.
You can't.
That's crazy.
Okay, so I think we've seen this. Let's take a look from Tim's perspective for a second here, and we can have him take off and actually drive the car. As you can see, he's blocked. There's a vehicle here that's doing some unloading, and Tim, look down just a little bit so we can see your perspective, and he can now operate this vehicle around this obstacle and maybe take it to a safe spot in a parking lot for us.
Wenn jetzt gleich was umfährt.
Hopefully all we're doing this really slowly and safely in a cordoned off area here, and he's going to try to turn off into the parking lot. Now you can see a little bit on the left here. This view is
Tim
way
is in
broader.
there. Guys, there's Tim right there. The invisible man.
And Tim's view is very broad. He can see all 3 screens and get a full perspective of everything that's going on in the car. In the future, we can represent all kinds of LiDAR systems and everything. Slowly.
Slowly.
So, yeah, maybe we could take a look there.
Look at him.
Yeah.
There he goes. Go, Tim.
There's the team
Go,
racing after the car there.
Hä, hieß er vorher auch schon Tim? Lol.
Let's see if we
You know, what Tim is experiencing right now, he's sitting inside.
Der hieß doch vorher nicht Tim. Der hatte safe einen anderen Namen.
He feels the car around him. And that's why he's able to, look at that, he parked in a parking space.
Nice job.
Okay, Sven bestätigt nochmal, da steht Gaming als letzter Punkt. Oh mein Gott.
Guys, thank you. Thank you. You guys are amazing. Thanks, guys.
Okay, er verabschiedet die Leute, nicht uns.
Gentlemen, what do we call this? I have no idea. Yeah, that's right. We call this amazing.
Carception.
Guys, I'm so
Carception.
proud of you. This is such incredible work, and this is such important work. And as we
Morphix? Nein, das ist kein Zocken, was er gerade gemacht hat. Wir wollen Gaming-Grafikkarten. Es war episch und gigantic, aber keine Grafikkarte.
Robot could be fixing something, rescuing someone. And now we could literally, through VR, teleport ourselves into the mind of the autonomous machine and be there. Does that make sense? Teleportation. Teleportation. And VR is our way of doing that. VR augmented with autonomous machines is our way of doing that. Teleportation. The future has arrived. Pretty exciting. Thanks a lot, guys. I'm so proud of you.
Sehr nice. Tatsache, die Keynote ist für 2 Stunden eigentlich geplant gewesen.
Okay, we covered a lot of stuff today. We talked about a brand new, a revolutionary.
Oh mein Gott. Leute, Hype.
Dream come true.
Last one.
All these years.
Hype.
From architecture to algorithm to AI
Oh
to
mein Gott.
integration into all of the APIs in the world and the tools around the world.
Please,
we have
please.
introduced real-time ray tracing to the world. Finally, we call it Nvidia RTX, and it will run on a revolutionary workstation called the Quadro GV100 with 32 gigabytes. We also announced our brand new Nvidia AI platform, all of the new updates from the largest GPU in the world, 1.5 million.
One more thing. One more thing. One more thing. Come on, guys.
For $399,000. And Nvidia's
Sanji, nein. Nein, das war's nicht. Das war's nicht.
Incredible amounts of memory, 500 gigabytes,
No way.
12 gigabytes.
Das war's nicht.
Tensor RT and integration, deep integration into
Hype, Leute.
Flow and Caldi has
Das kann's nicht
expanded
gewesen
our
sein.
ability to reach
No
the
fucking
hyperscale
way.
workflows around the world. In aggregate, speeding it up by 100x.
One more
which allows you
thing.
to enable people to buy more GPUs and save more money. And not only that, we made it easy to deploy. Kubernetes is now on Nvidia GPUs. Kubernetes on Nvidia.
Huang.
Really
Jensen
really
Huang.
And don't forget, what makes Tensor RT such
Es ist 20:35 Uhr. Ja, er hat schon 35 Minuten überzogen.
because of one word. You guys know that word?
Aber hey,
Plaster. That's right. And so
it's touring. It's
what a
right.
great audience.
It's touring.
What a great audience. And then lastly, in our driving stack, we introduced our one architecture. We'll be in production by the end of this year with our first full ASIL D
Komm
full
schon.
driving computer called Xavier and Pegasus, and the next generation called Orin. But one of the most important things we can imagine doing is to create a simulation environment so that the automotive industry can cover the gap between 1 million cars, 1 million miles.
Und welche Grafikkarte hat die Simulation gepowert?
That many orders of magnitudes of difference in coverage has to be covered in some clever way, and we call that Drive Sim. Running on our server, we call Drive Constellation, and we introduced 2 new platforms, and I'm going to talk about more and more and more every single year, so that we can engage these new industries. One of them is Isaac, our robotics platform, and Clara,
Isaac and Clara.
our medical
Okay.
imaging supercomputing platform. Ladies and gentlemen, it's great having all of you here. Thanks for your support, and have a great GTC.
No way. Nein. Oh nein. Nein. Wie kann man nur so böse sein? Oh shit, ey. Oh shit. Bis zum 29. Aber das ist die Keynote. Das ist die Keynote. Diese Musik, sie ist so tragisch. Aber es kommt safe noch diese Woche ein Leak. Muss sein. Okay, Leute, danke. Ist ein bisschen ernüchternd jetzt hier. Aber nichtsdestotrotz, Leute, ich danke euch hier fürs Einschalten, dass ihr mir beim Stream schauen, im Stream Gesellschaft geleistet habt. Und Jensen Huang hier stark angefeuert habt. Vielleicht. Ja, sehen wir noch dieses Jahr eine neue Generation an Grafikkarten. Vielleicht. Okay, haut rein, Leute. Ich wünsche euch noch einen ganz, ganz schönen, gediegenen Abend. Und ja, Leute. Ja. War ein witziger Stream mit euch. Machen wir hoffentlich öfters mal. Also, bis dann.